What is going on, everybody, and welcome into Friday Night Wars. Yes, that is right. You are looking at it. You are in the Warzone Sports Network here with a Tanner, Joe Morley, and Mike on the mic got himself some glasses. Maybe this will improve his arguments. I'm just playing with everybody, filling in for Mike and Joe. I'm Tony Tucker, joined by Alex Robson. We are going to be going over some great topics today. Robson, what are you thinking about, bud? How you feeling?
I'm ready to rock and roll, man. I'm just ready for you, Tony Tucker. Shut your mouth. Hit that intro. Let's go to war, baby.
Let's get ready to rumble. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Step into the 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 war zone. Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone.
Ooh, that'll get you hype. Love that intro every time it hits. We're going to be going over three really great topics. If you are new to the show, if you watch this and any of the debates, please go ahead and blow up those comments with who you think won, because we'll be tallying up the votes and we'll be getting little trophies. I already have one win a couple weeks ago. I destroyed Mike on the mic. We're going to be talking about NFL rookie quarterbacks and which one has the higher ceiling. And we will be finishing with a topic near and dear to Robson's heart and his gangrene. But first, our first topic of the show, let's get into it. Giannis, can you feel me?
Is Giannis the face of the next generation of the NBA?
Let's do this thing. I'll kick it off here. I'm the first time on the war zone. I'm going to go ahead and start it off by saying Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however the hell you pronounce it, is not the face of the next generation of the NBA. But he is foreign, I will say. But the man that is the future is none other than Luka Doncic, the superstar for the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, I'm saying Luka Doncic. Why am I saying Luka Doncic? Because Luka Doncic can score at will from anywhere. Not saying that Giannis can't, but I believe Giannis is just too one-dimensional. He is so focused on getting to the paint and driving, and as fun as that is, I like seeing a sharpshooter, Tony Tucker. I like seeing a guy that can step 5 feet behind the arc and still drain it in your face like Luka Doncic can. I believe he is the next face of the NBA after the LeBron James era goes by the wayside. As sad as that day will be when LeBron James says goodbye, Luka Doncic will immediately take the reins and he will light up the scoreboards for several years to come. And I'm hoping that the Dallas Mavericks get their act together and get that man a championship ring that he already, in a couple years in the NBA, deserves to have. Luka Doncic, your time is coming. And honestly, in my opinion, your time is already here, baby. Go show the world what you got and show me why I am right.
Okay, Robson, we got a good news, bad news situation coming in hot and heavy for you here right off the top. You're not wrong, but you're wrong. So I do agree that Giannis is not the face of the league, right? It is the easy answer. It's almost the lazy answer. He just won. He's 26. He's got the looks. He's fun. He's like, driving through Chick-fil-A and whatever else. So like I could see where you would say that Giannis is the face of the league. Now, in a face of the league argument, I think everybody kind of draws differently what it is. But for me, there's a lot of different factors. And I think one of them is that you have to be polarizing. Giannis isn't necessarily a polarizing guy. Like, I just don't see it. Like, people love him, yes, but people don't hate him. You can't vilify Giannis. Like, you hear his story, you watch him play. It's like, you want to root for him. It's great. And the performance that he had is there. I think the other thing that kind of hurts him for being the face of the league is that he's in Milwaukee. As far as I can remember, there's only one sort of small market Midwestern face of the NBA, and that was LeBron's time in Cleveland when he went back there the second time. And that's because he was LeBron James. He was anointed, Sports Illustrated, getting Hummers, like not in, you know what I mean, getting vehicles paid for and all this crazy stuff. So LeBron fits as the face of the NBA in Cleveland. The other thing is like when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks schedule, they're not even like the primetime game. They never slot them as the must-see game. Nobody's rushing to watch Giannis in a regular season game. The game's also kind of a little like one way. It's very forceful. And if he's not playing for a major market and nobody hates Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a nice town. Played a lot of soccer and sports in Milwaukee. It's great. Nobody hates Milwaukee, but you can hate the big city. You can hate LA. You can hate New York. You can hate Boston. Nobody's going to hate Milwaukee. So while I don't think that Giannis is the face of the league, I also don't agree that Luka in Dallas is the face of the league. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing I wanted to say about it. If he was the face of the league, don't you think that the odds makers would have him as the number one, like to repeat? They just won a championship. They're not even there. It's a league where one star can put you over the top. Now that one star, the team they have at the top, KD and the Brooklyn Nets. So they're already saying that KD is more likely to repeat. Now, yes, he has two other superstars next to him, and that also plays a factor. But then number two is LeBron James. LeBron James is still currently the face of the NBA. You can say whatever he wants. He's declining. Space Jam 2 sucked, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to hate on LeBron James, go ahead and put it out there. The man is still the face of the NBA, playing in the NBA, like playing in a large market like Los Angeles, just became a billionaire athlete, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to make moves. Now, let me let you respond to that. What do you think of LeBron still being the face of the league currently right now? You're saying Luka will be, but do you think that LeBron James still is the face of the NBA currently right now?
I would say so. Yeah, it's still his era. He's the king. I mean, until somebody dethrones him and does better than him, I still think he's the best overall player in the NBA. I mean, he's dominant, can get to the basket when he wants to, can shoot the three on occasion, has some good nights, has some bad nights from there, but usually it doesn't matter. But he's great defensively. And you also have LeBron James's marketability, and that's the biggest thing about the superstars of the NBA. LeBron James, he's the king. He's marketable. I mean, my God, he was just in a movie. That before him, it was Michael Jordan, debatably the greatest of all time. So LeBron James definitely is the face of the NBA, the most marketable player in the NBA, and overall the best. But I have to say, man, I think right behind him is Luka. But I'm looking forward to seeing who you actually say instead of evading the question like you have been so far, Tony Tucker. Who's the face of the NBA?
Relax. We got another lap coming here, and here it is. The face of the NBA hasn't been decided yet. It's not Luka. If Luka decides to leave Dallas, then that's fine. But I think it's going to be somebody like if Dame goes to New York, he could be there. He's somebody that you could hate. You could say, oh, well, Dame had to go team up, and he had to do this to get his rings. He's not better than Steph Curry. You can hate Dame. You can also love Dame. You can love Dame time. You can go. You don't have to be a fan of him to want to watch him and root for him. He puts on prime time all the time wherever he is. Dame can't be the face of the league in Portland, but if he comes to play for the Lakers or he goes to play for the Knicks, which are the two rumored destinations, Dame can definitely be that kind of guy. I think if Zion goes to a certain place, like everybody wants to prop up Zion, it's not happening for him in New Orleans, right? So I think that whoever it is going to need to be in Boston, is going to need to be in New York, possibly Philly, because I think that the fan base they have so much vitriol towards their own team. Imagine if they actually had like a superstar that could come in and sort of be the one, and Embiid's the 1A, which I think Dame could be if he went there. That's how good I believe Dame Lillard is. You would have an opportunity to then be sort of outside of that Chicago, LA, New York market. Boston is also another place where you can have the face of the NBA, Bird, Magic in the early 80s. But I just don't see it there. I don't know who the next face of the league is because I don't believe that that player is actually in that spot yet. Then you also sort of have that crowning. LeBron has to say, like, let's say Dame comes and plays for the Lakers. You might see in press conferences afterwards, LeBron James, regarded as one of the best players of all time, heaping praise on that teammate or playing against him in another big market game, right? We want to see the Lakers and Celtics clash. We want to see the Knicks and, another big team on the West Coast or whatever clashing, going head to head. And then we can sort of bring it there. But Luka and Dallas, people don't hate Luka. Like, there's just not enough on that other side. And the fan base for the Dallas Mavericks, it just doesn't bring enough heat and intensity as to where it is. So I just don't think that person necessarily exists yet. And currently, it's just LeBron James. It's just where we're at. It's LeBron. It's not Giannis. And everybody will be like, well, yeah, why wouldn't it be Giannis? Next year, when they start doing basketball after the football season ends, they start putting games on Saturday and Sunday slates. Watch. They'll be on at 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast, Giannis. They won't have it there. LeBron James will be in that primetime spot on ESPN every week like it has been. So it's still LeBron, and I'm not sure who it is. I think there's strong candidates. Maybe Devin Booker goes to play in a big market, right? The person just needs to get to that place, establish themselves, and win. So that's where I stand. I hope I answered the question enough to your liking, sir.
Kinda. I'll let you slide because it's the first topic. We got a couple others to go. But I will just say, Luka Doncic, man, he doesn't have to stay in Dallas, Tony Tucker. If that guy goes to an LA, maybe not the Lakers, maybe like the Clippers, if he somehow makes his way to New York City, good God, you don't want to be around me because I'd be the most toxic dude in the world if he becomes a New York Knick. But, man, he'd become a villain. He has that kind of feel to him. I don't know where he's from, but his name sounds a bit Russian. He gives me the vibe of one Ivan Drago. Come on now.
We'll work on that before he gets to New York. But yeah, I could see that. We could definitely see Luka ending up in a place where he gets that. But I don't think you leave Mark Cuban. Why would you want to leave Mark? They just brought in Dirk. It feels like a good situation, and I think they bring somebody there where he can win. I just can't see him ever being polarizing enough for that to take place, unless he goes somewhere. But are you ready to switch gears and head over to the NFL? Maybe talk a little rookie QB situation?
I'm ready, Tony Tucker. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Who has a higher ceiling, Justin Fields or Trey Lance?
Oh, Joe Morley, you're not here, but you're going to hate me for this one. But I believe the man between these two guys who I both think will be very, very good football players in the NFL that has the higher ceiling is none other than Trey Lance. Think about this for a second. Trey Lance has all the intangibles you want. He's got the big arm. He's got athleticism for days. He reads the plays so well. And he is electrifying in every state of the matter. And we're talking about markets, Tony Tucker. So far, that man is in a great market. He is in San Fran, the Golden Bay Bridge, or whatever the heck it's called. I'm from Virginia. I don't know what everything is over there in California. I don't even know what it's called.
Golden Gate.
Anyway, Golden Gate. There you go. Thank you for my LA counterpart there, Tony. But either way, Trey Lance is in that beautiful market where the sun is usually shining, gorgeous weather. Trey Lance not only has a higher ceiling, but I think he's going to be marketed a little bit better than one Justin Fields, who's playing in the bitterly cold Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City. Nothing wrong with Chicago. I have been there. It is a beautiful city in its own right. But the issue I have with Justin Fields is this. Justin Fields has a problem. And that problem is his ability to read defenses. Now, he does it decently. But after that first read, say Allen Robinson, Justin Fields in the game, say Allen Robinson isn't there. I see a tendency at Justin Fields to panic and not know exactly what to do, to use his great athleticism or to find a second read. Now, that can be fixed. But what if it's not? What if Justin Fields can never put it together? What if Justin Fields cannot find a way to get the ball to another one of the receivers that the Bears have? That's an issue with Justin Fields. The only issue that I see with Trey Lance is that he is a raw young talent. He missed all last season due to COVID-19. He opted out. But the 1 year we did truly see Trey Lance play, he had 1 turnover in his entire time at North Dakota State. He was sensational. The only thing working against Trey Lance is father time himself. He'll take a little bit. I know he will. Maybe even a full season. But if Trey Lance and Justin Fields hit their peak, I believe Justin Fields will be possibly a top 10 quarterback. But Trey Lance at his ceiling, in my opinion, could be top 5. Arguably, I could see top 3 in Trey Lance's future with how high his ceiling is for me. That is why I'll go with Trey Lance.
I love that. Putting a lot of stock in that 8-on-8 football they play there in North Dakota State of the Republic of Canada. Okay, we've not seen you're here. I'm listening to you bag on Justin Fields right now about second reads or whatever else. How many second reads did he really need to make at Ohio State? We don't know what that ability will be. And also, like, let's take a look at it's in a quarterback league. If Trey Lance were to come in, he's got Russell Wilson, who's still ahead of him. He's got to deal with whoever Sean McVay gets his hands on. So he'd be behind him too. And then Kyler Murray. So even if he were to start next year, he'd be the 4th best quarterback in his division. Justin Fields is going to come in and be able to win in a division. We don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers still in Hawaii, like strumming on the guitar, right? Sitting up there practicing, this is Jeopardy voice, whatever he's doing right now, we don't know there. Kirk Cousins, is he the real deal for the Minnesota Vikings? And then you got the Lions trying to figure things out with Jared Goff. Like, Justin Fields literally could come into this division and be just behind Rodgers if he's there. I figure he could leapfrog Jordan Love if he's there. And then Kirk Cousins, a year or 2 away to be able to get in there, learn the offense, because he does throw a nice deep ball, right? Like, and I think he'll be able to connect with somebody like Darnell Mooney, fantasy sleeper, get him on your team, going to have a big year. But anyways, Justin Fields is going into a winnable opportunity as to where I think that it's much tougher for Trey Lance and the San Francisco 49ers to be able to repeat and be able to put out success every year. Like, Justin Fields literally could have a nice decade-long run with the Chicago Bears where he's winning 10, 12 games every year, winning the NFC North once Aaron Rodgers is gone. I don't believe that's the case for Trey Lance. So just by virtue of division, his ceiling is higher. I mean, we could break down talent, whatever it is, but circumstantial. We've all seen people who we could say are more talented than Tom Brady. But circumstances, when you play in a division, they factor heavily onto your overall success. So I think being there, clearly being talented, Justin Fields is. In my estimation, it was Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields is who I would have taken second. I'm not mad about all the raw talent that we've seen. I'm just not sure how much stock I can put in North Dakota State or whatever it is. Like, how does that transfer to the NFL? Everybody points to Carson Wentz. He's now on a second team because he couldn't hack it in Philly. I'm not saying it's apples to apples and he will have a similar thing, but like, we all bragged about his talent, his MVP season. And then last year, people couldn't get rid of him fast enough. So Justin Fields is the clear pick in this particular debate.
You're lucky we're not on the carpet of Carson Wentz, because I would just rip you apart right now hating on Carson Wentz, a guy I absolutely adore and think will be a stud with the Colts. But that's not the topic right now. You mentioned the division toughness, and I will agree. The NFC West is incredibly difficult, but you have to look at it this way. Matthew Stafford is on the decline. He is, how old is Matthew Stafford? Like 34, 35 maybe?
Sure.
Older guy. We don't know how many years he's got left. He just had back surgery too. We don't know what he's going to look like next year. I know he's on the Rams, beautiful Los Angeles weather again, but we don't know how he's going to look. Maybe he's not as good as some of us think he will be. Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going to be a Seahawk by the trade deadline. I think the situation in Seattle is bad enough where Russell Wilson has had the bridges between him and the franchise, the Seahawks, burned enough to where I don't think they're going to be that great. And I think the bridges have been burned enough to where Russ Wilson may demand a trade by the trade deadline if the situation is bad enough. And Kyler Murray, he has been great. Absolutely. He has been sensational. Really is the prototype for the future quarterback. but he's not winning a lot of games. Now, that's not all on him. But in the end, to be truly an elite quarterback, you got to win football games. You got to be in competition. Now, understand, again, NFC West, tough division, but I think Trey Lance at his peak could be the game-changing quarterback. The guy that can go out there in close games and light it up and lead your team to a victory. Justin Fields, I think, has that potential as well, but who knows? He played for that great program in Ohio State, one of the most elite programs in college football today, a true blue blood prospect mine. You got greatness coming out of Ohio State. You don't see a lot of greatness coming out of North Dakota State, and that's why I think Trey Lance is greatness personified. I think Trey Lance, not miles and leaps over Justin Fields, but I have to give him the edge over him.
Sure, we're splitting hairs, but like, so you've traded away, in your scenario, you've traded away Russell Wilson, right? You think they're going to side with a 70-year-old Pete Carroll over a guy who's still got 8 years left? That would be the dumbest thing ever, and I would hope that Seahawks, the 12th man, would just riot. If they were dumb enough to trade away mid-season a guy who's been in the MVP conversation for the past 4 years and still has at least 8 years of good football left in him, that would be the dumbest thing ever. Kyler Murray has already shown spurts of being able to win. I think that in that division, the amount of winning he's done has actually been pretty impressive. And I do think that Trey Lance will be able to be successful. Just that I don't know if it'll be able to be dominant every year. And maybe he does just have 1 or 2 years of brilliance, and that could be enough to get him to a couple of Super Bowls. Therefore, his ceiling would be higher at that point. I just like the opportunity that Justin Fields is coming into. Also, there's no expectation at quarterback there in Chicago. Eric Kramer has like the franchise record for passing yards. Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman, Caleb Haney. You don't think that Justin Fields can't roll out of bed and be like, oh man, I'm about to be in the record books all day long in Chicago. You give that man a 17th game, and he's rushing for 800 yards and throwing for 4,400 and putting up 40 touchdown seasons. I think that everything that you're concerned about will work itself out because he seems to be quiet, an introverted person who just wants to play football. And if the one thing is that he's having trouble with a second read, sure, maybe early on that's the case. I don't see that being the case long term. I like the young talent in Cole Kmet. It's hard for me to, because I think the talent in San Francisco is actually better. But I like the talent that Justin Fields has around him. I think it's enough in Monty, Allen Robinson, and I like Cole Kmet at tight end. And I already gave a little shout out to Darnell Mooney. So I like what the Bears are working with and the fact that there's no expectation. Trey Lance needs to walk down the hallways and see statues of Joe Montana and Stephon Young. Okay, that's who he's working with. He's not looking down the hallway and seeing, Jim McMahon or whatever doing the Super Bowl shuffle. That's who he has to compare to. And I think he can outperform that. He can thrive there.
I understand. I'm not hating on Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields. I'm sure as hell happy as a Florida Gator fan he didn't stick at Georgia because I didn't want to have to deal with that. Good job, Kirby Smart. You blew it again. But in the end of the day, I just think Trey Lance. Now, of course, in that franchise, there are some legends there. Joe Montana and Steve Young, as you mentioned. But in the end, I think Trey Lance has the potential to be one of the better ones that franchise has seen. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Montana or Steve Young. I'm not crazy. Maybe a little bit, but not that crazy. My main thing is, I think in this season, for his career, there you go, clock management. We're talking about a career. We're talking about the highest ceiling possible. I see Trey Lance. I see him being a home run pick at 3rd overall.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not one like going over the top one way or the other. If you gave me money or I had to give you my money and say who I'm putting my money on, I'm just going with Justin Fields in the argument. And it's about time. Chicago can only suffer for so long. It can't be. He fell to them. It's destiny for it to work out. Mike, Mooney is actually a sleeper. And I can explain to you what a fantasy sleeper is at another time. Yes, Clanky for blacking me up there on something in this argument clock. Catching up on these comments. It's too many of them. I got to go to the next one. I can't do this. There's too much pressure. Ready for number 3? Let's get in to the New York Jets.
Biggest impact player on the 2021 New York Jets.
Quick attire change. I had to throw on the hat. I had to. We're talking about my boys. We're going to actually talk positive about my boys here on the Warzone Sports Network because every single one of you here has decided that to make it your mission ever since I've joined the Warzone Sports Network to make it your mission to make me feel even more miserable about my fandom than I already do. But finally, we are going to talk positive about them. The biggest impact player, in my opinion, on the 2021 New York Jets will be the free agent they signed from the Bengals, Carl Lawson, the defensive end. Why do I say Carl Lawson? Because the Jets have not had a premier pass rusher since John Abraham, and they ended up trading him to the Atlanta Falcons. That's how long it's been since they've had a truly elite pass rusher consistently. They've had a couple of decent years for some guys, Muhammad Wilkerson and Sheldon Richardson. They had some decent years there. But then again, after those two guys got their paychecks, they fell off a cliff and did not perform up to the standards of what they got paid for. But now, Carl Lawson, you're paying the big money. This guy led the league last year in quarterback pressures and quarterback hits. He didn't get a lot of sacks. He got about, I think, somewhere in the 5 range, which isn't bad. But Carl Lawson can get after it. And not only that, not only do I think he's going to be, in the stat sheet, a big impact, it's what he's going to do around him on the defensive line that is shaping up to be one of the more elite defensive line cores in the NFL, led by Robert Saleh's great defensive coaching. He's also going to open up holes for Quinnen Williams, a former 3rd overall pick out of Alabama, who has shown spurts of greatness with his ability to get after the passer and clog up the run game. He was awesome last year, but now he's going to have a guy beside him in Carl Lawson that could open up doors for him. And also there's a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, and John Franklin Myers. He's going to be playing on the opposite end of Carl Lawson. John Franklin Myers is one of the top-ranked defensive ends in terms of pressuring by Pro Football Focus in the NFL last year. Again, not a lot of sack numbers because the Jets secondary couldn't stop anybody to save their life. But in the end of the day, Carl Lawson is going to open up doors not only for himself to get after the passer, to get after and get sacks and stop the run and do everything he does at an extreme level and do it in the limelight of NYC. He is going to open up doors for the other really good pass rushers on this team. I mentioned Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers. You also have Sheldon Rankins, who they got from the New Orleans Saints in free agency. This team on defensive line is solid, and I mean real solid. But the biggest guy on it is going to be Carl Lawson.
Love it. We just took a jump in viewership for IDP leagues right there. A lot of Jets being drafted in IDP fantasy leagues. Okay. I love it. I'm not going to argue any of that because I don't really know the defensive side of the ball for the Jets well enough to talk about the kind of impact that he will have over there. On the offensive side of the ball, though, that you guys just picked up a guy that I think that football fans in general have just wanted to see succeed. And I think that there's a great sort of like merger of opportunity that's about to happen. The Jets are going to get beat a lot this year, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity to throw the ball at the end of the games. Corey Davis is a pick that they got that was picked, top 5, I believe, or whatever it was, and everybody's calling him a bust and stuff like that. I think really a lot of it's been injury and just the style of football that they play. Now, I don't know, maybe they'll be a run-heavy team in New York, but they're going to need to be throwing the ball because they're going to be losing a lot of games. And when I watch Zach Wilson, he runs around. He's kind of got a little bit of gunslinger to him. It's fun. I love that. Huge Brett Favre fan right here. I think that if you're in the NFL, you're looking for a veteran guy who knows, his routes. You can sort of trust him to be where he is. I think he'll know the playbook. And I think you're going to get a guy who's not afraid to throw 50-50 balls. And if you're throwing them, he's going to get a lot of opportunities. Corey Davis has yet to have a 1,000-yard season. I think 3 out of the 4 years he's played less than he's missed. What did I looked it up early. He's missed at least 25% of the game. So he's been banged up. He showed glimpses last year where I was like, oh, this is the guy that they drafted. Now he signs with the Jets. I know they have Denzel Mims, who's also a big target there. I just like all of the experience that he has combined with garbage time at the end of games. Maybe you're getting a little bit more of a prevent defense. I could definitely see him going for 75, 80 receptions and 1,100 yards, kind of creeping up in the touchdown category, a big target, hitting some fades in the end zone, and having a really big year that we always thought he was going to have when he was drafted by the Titans, but for one reason or another just never got there. So I think opportunity mashed with a new quarterback who's not afraid of anything. And at least that's what I saw on the limited amount of highlight tapes. I'm not going to lie. I didn't sit down and watch a bunch of BYU game film. I'm just talking about, I saw this guy who didn't have receivers that were getting separation on every play, and he was just gunning them up there to his receivers. And I think Corey Davis can be that guy who will go up, make plays for him. And when he makes a few of them, that Zach's going to fall in love with him and be like, hey, I got my guy, Corey Davis, who's 6'3". He can run. He can go up and get it. I think Corey Davis is going to be one of those guys that we're all like, where was this in Tennessee? But time, health, opportunity. I think it's Corey Davis. I really wanted to pick Jamison Crowder, but I think Jamison Crowder is kind of what Jamison Crowder is. So I don't know if there's a breakout ever. I think he's kind of already broken out, and he's right there. So I'm going to give the nod to Corey Davis. And now I have some vested rooting interest in the Jets with you this year, Robson, that Corey Davis will make me look like a prophet as he goes for 1,100 yards, 80 catches. And let's go 9. Let's go 9 TDs this year for Corey Davis. We'll throw that out there. 80, 1,109. Let's see what the comments have to say. Talk about your Jets some more. We'll run through some of these comments.
Well, you insulted my Jets to kick off this thing, but you recovered well talking good about Corey Davis. I think a lot of that has to go into factor with Corey Davis is injuries. He has not been fully healthy for a full season yet, but also the quarterback's throwing him the ball. You have Marcus Mariota for a little bit, and honestly, Marcus Mariota was a bust. I thought he was going to be a star when the Titans got him. Good Lord above, he was not. He showed moments, but then it got revealed that he was not as good as a passer as we thought he was. And then you get Ryan Tannehill, who I like, but I've been on record in saying I don't think Ryan Tannehill is as good as a lot of people make him out to be. I think he is a game manager that struggles to do that at times. And I think that there are some step-ups. I'm going to address that comment in a second. But
that's got to be Adam Lewis.
Probably,
trolling you right now. Welcome in,
Probably.
Petty Sports. Thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
But anyway, Ryan Tannehill does not have the greatest arm in the world. He has an ability. I definitely know it's Adam, not just calling me Robson. But Ryan Tannehill does not have the biggest arm in the world. So he doesn't throw a lot of 50-50 balls. But Zach Wilson, you haven't watched a lot of tape on BYU. I have, because I adore Zach Wilson. I love this man. So I say Zach Wilson has the arm. He has everything. He's got the quick release. He's got the escapability to make plays out of nothing. So, man, Zach Wilson and Corey Davis, that's going to be a lot of fun. But I am still of the mindset defense wins championships. And the last time the Jets were really, really good was not only when they had Ryan Fitzpatrick play the best year of his life. Then, of course, the following year, he decided to absolutely suck. But that defense was outstanding. Muhammad Wilkerson was amazing. Sheldon Richardson was great. Darrelle Revis had a resurgence at near the end of his career. Same thing with Antonio Cromartie. That defense was stud-like. So that's the last time the Jets were good. That was way back. I think I was a freshman in high school. That's how long it's been, Tony Tucker. That's how long it's been.
That was Revis Island and Bart Scott and right? Wasn't that time?
Different team. That was the Mark Sanchez team.
That was
2010. That was the 2010, 2011 Jets. They were really good too.
Yeah.
But
yeah. You were still in daycare. I remember that.
I was in middle school, Tony Tucker. But being made fun about the butt fumble all my life. But I think Carl Lawson is going to bring them something they haven't had in a long time, and that's consistent pass rush ability. Because, like I said, John Abraham was the last guy they had that did on a consistent level, and they ended up trading him anyway. But I really like Corey Davis. Does not give me the vibe he's going to open the playbook for everybody else. He's talented, but I think it's going to be a really big spreading of the wealth type offense because the Jets' wide receiver core is deep. You got Davis, you got Denzel Mims, you got Jamison Crowder, you got the steal of Elijah Moore in the second round, and then you also have Keelan Cole, who not a lot of people are talking about. But that's 5 really solid wide receivers right there that you can rotate in and out for Zach Wilson to throw to. So I think they're going to be more – you know how we talk about running back by committee? I think the Jets are going to be doing kind of a wide receiver by committee because Zach Wilson's going to be able to fit the ball to anybody there. Just get open and Zach Wilson will hit you. On the defense, though, that's where it all begins. That's what Robert Saleh was brought to the New York Jets for, to be a leader on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Carl Lawson is going to open up doors for that entire defensive line to not only get more pressures, but to get to that quarterback. It's something that the New York Jets have not had in a long, long time. Now, I need to address some of these comments, Tony Tucker, before you
go ahead.
started.
Go ahead. Floor is yours, my friend.
Petty Sports saying the Jets are the worst franchise in history. Have you heard of the Detroit Lions?
Agreed.
Have you heard of the Cleveland Browns? I know they're good now, but good God Almighty, they went 0-16 not that long ago. Have you heard of them? Have you heard of the Houston Texans? They haven't done a damn thing since they got into the NFL back in a couple years. What was it, 2002 they got introduced to the league?
Shout out the Bengals.
The Bengals are another one. The Jaguars are another one. They're all awful. The Jets at least have a Super Bowl to their name. I know it was 50 years ago. But even in between that, they've had some solid teams. They've had some good years. It just hasn't resulted in Super Bowls. And not only that, the Jets got screwed by the greatness of Tom Brady for over 20 years. What can they do when they had the GOAT playing against them twice every single year for 20 years? So the Jets are far and away not the worst franchise in the NFL. Maybe one of the worst teams in the NFL recently. I'll give you that. But they're not the worst franchise in the NFL's history.
Okay, let's make a new rule. When the fans of your team are now officially, of your Super Bowl winning team, are all officially part of the AARP, you can no longer claim that championship. I mean, those fans of that team are in their late 60s. So let's cool it on the Jets have a championship 50-something, 52 years ago.
Hey, it's more than the Browns, the Jack, any team I just mentioned has.
Yeah. I get it. Bruce City in here. Go check out Bruce City. I saw them on Twitter. They are celebrating Milwaukee in the championship. Giannis is a megastar. Very happy for him. I'm happy for my guy, Chris Middleton. We don't need to go down that road. People are tired of me throwing out love for Chris Middleton. I want to thank everybody who stopped by the show. We went on a nice little Jets fill right here at the end. Which was great. You have anything else you wanna say, you wanna plug, you wanna do before we
Biggest impact player.
There we go. Fired for that one. Missed it.
Come on, Tony Tucker.
Here we go. Anything you want to get at, you want to do. Sorry, I have fat fingers.
It's all good. But tomorrow at noon EST, 12 p.m., I'll be dropping a new episode of the Robson Sportscast. And leading us off, I will have Jay, the fantasy football plug. He will be on the show, and we're going to be chatting a lot of fantasy football. So if you're looking for tips as football draws closer, Plug will be there to drop all his insight, and it's going to be awesome to have. It's awesome to have Jay on the show, and I can't wait for y'all to listen to it. Noon EST, mark the calendar, set your reminders. That's when the new episode drops.
Love it. Can't wait to hear it. Big fan of Jay. Warzone Sports Network, we got a new show debuting at some point this weekend. So many great things and so many platforms and new people coming in all the time. We are jacked about football season. Just get over there. Hit that subscribe button. I know that Mike has a famous saying. I was supposed to write it down. Something about you never know when you're going to go to...
Let's get ready to rumble. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the Mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone.